A pleasant day to everyone. Again, this is Miss Jero and I'm going to discuss about the performance management and strategic planning. And this topic is about the definition and the purpose of strategic planning, the linking or the relationship between the performance management to the strategic planning or strategic plan rather. So for us to link this, we have the strategic planning, developing strategic plans at the unit level, and also the job description, the individual and the team performance. And also in this topic, we're going to discuss about the building support. Now, let's define the strategic planning and also the goal of this. In this one, this is the process that involves describing the organization's destinations. It also assesses barriers that stand in the way of the destinations, and even we can select some of the approaches for moving forward. So the main goal of strategic planning is definitely to allocate resources in a way that provides organization with a competitive advantage. So overall, a strategic plan serves as a blueprint that defines how the organization will allocate its resources in pursuit of its goals. Now, let's talk about the purpose of strategic planning. First and foremost, strategic planning allows organization to define their identity. So, in other words, it provides organization with a clearer sense of who they are and what their purpose are. Second is strategic planning helps organizations prepare for the future because it clarifies the desired destination. Knowing where the organization wants to go is the key first steps in planning is how to get there. The third one is the strategic planning also allows organizations to analyze their environment and going to enhance their abilities to adapt to environmental changes and even anticipate future changes. Although knowledge of the environment does not guarantee that the organization will be more likely to change and adapt, and also the knowledge is the first steps towards possible adoptions. Although knowledge of environment does not guarantee that the organization will be more likely to change and adopt, knowledge is just the first step towards possible adaptation. Fourth is strategic planning provides organizations with focus and allows them to allocate resources to what matters most. In return, the improved allocation of resources is likely to stimulate growth and improve profitability. The fifth one is strategic planning can produce a culture of cooperation within the organization, given that a common set of goals is created. Such a culture of cooperation can gain organizations as a key competitive advantage. Six is the strategic planning can be a good corporate eye opener because it generates new options and opportunity to be considered. New opportunity to be considered may include expanding new markets or offering new products. And finally, strategic planning can be a powerful tool to guide employees' daily activities because it identifies the behaviors and results that really matters. A strategic plan provides critical information to be used in performance management systems. Next is the strategic planning. So these are the overview. In planning, we need to consider the environmental analysis, the mission, the vision, the goals, and the strategies. First, let's talk about the environmental analysis, which I believe you are very much familiar with the SWOT analysis. So once we talk about strengths and weaknesses, these are the internal. And once we talk about opportunities and threats, these are part of the external. In internal, which is the strength and weaknesses, these are the internal issues that should be considered in terms of environmental analysis. First is the organizational structure. So for example, in the current structure conducive to fast and effective communication. So the organizational structure, this is the org chart wherein we can see the communication between different departments and also within the department. And in terms of organizational culture, this is the culture of the organization that includes the unwritten norms and values espoused by the members of the organization. For example, is the current organizational culture is likely to encourage or hinders innovation and entrepreneurial behavior on the part of the middle level manager. So, in terms of culture, this is definitely things that we need to analyze. And then the third one is the politics. So in politics, they have some units or departments that are competing with one another for resources in such way that any types of cross units collaboration is virtually possible, or other units likely to be open or cooperative in cross units projects. And then for the fourth one is the processes. In processes, for example, are the supply chains working properly, or the consumers reach us when they need to and receive satisfying response. So ano ginagawa ni business? And then for the last is the size. For the size is the example is the organization is too small, or they are part of the small medium enterprise growing so fast. It can be also the business also can manage growth or effectively. So that's what we call sizing. And in terms of external, we have the opportunities and threats. We also have some issues to be considered. First is the economic. So for example, is there's an economic recession, or let's say here in the Philippines na lang, because of the war outside the country, okay, the economic status of the Philippines are also affected. And nowadays, we are suffering from that. And also in terms of political and legal. So for example, how will be political change in domestic or international market? So for example, when we have the new administration, so there have some changes in terms of some rules or some of the regulations inside the Philippines. And also we have the social. So in social, for example, what are the impact of an aging workforce on our organization? And then we also have the technology. So for instance, we need to adopt the innovation time to time. And the competitors, which hindi naman talaga ito nawawala. Since hindi sila nawawala, we need to have a lot of strategies so that we can compete well. And also we have the customers. So customers, obviously they are the one who patronize our product. Can we anticipate such needs ng ating mga customers? And also we have our suppliers. So in suppliers naman, we need to have a good relationship with them so that every now and then they can be a part of us. Next is we also need to assess the gap. Why is it there is a gap? Because of some issues that needs to be addressed in terms of our analysis through internal and external. So like what we said kanina, internal and external have a lot of issues to be considered. So information is collected regarding opportunities, threats, strengths, and even the weaknesses. So this information is used to conduct a gap analysis, which analyze the external environment and also the relationship of this into internal environment. So the varying of external opportunities and threats with internal strength and weaknesses leads to the following situation. So these are the situation in terms of gap analysis. Once we add the opportunities and threats, obviously this is our leverage. Why? Because this is the best combination of external and internal factors occurs when there is an opportunity in the environment, and also matching strength within the organization to take advantage of these opportunities. These are obvious directly that the organization should pursue. And for the next one is the opportunity plus weakness, and that is equal to constraint. In constraint situation, the external opportunities is present. However, the internal situation is not conducive to taking advantage of external opportunities. Third is the threats and strength. So equal to vulnerability. In this situation, there is an external threat, but this threat can be contained because of the presence of internal strength. And also, we have the threat and weaknesses. Automatically, that is a problem. In worst scenario, there is an external threat and also accompanying internal weaknesses. So these are the issues that we really cannot address because these are the things that the companies cannot capable of. And next is we have here the strategic planning for the organization. Since we already have the gap analysis based on our environment, we need to decide to what information that we need to have. And for example, who they are, what they do. First is we have the mission. So mission statements must answer why the company exists, what are the activities of the company, what are the product or services that they are serving to the communities, who are their customers to be served or who are their target market, and also what are the product that they are offering. The mission statement contains the following, and first is definitely the basic product or services that they are offering, which answerable by does what, and also the primary market or customers group to whom, and also the unique benefits and advantage of products and services. What are the benefits of this? And also the technology to be used and the concern for survival through growth and profitability. And also in this mission statement, this must definitely engage with the values and beliefs of the organization. First is the managerial philosophy. Second is the public image held by the organization, self-concept of business adopted by the employees and even the stockholders. So, in sum up, a mission statement defines why the organization exists, the scope of its activity, the customers that they are served, and the product and the services they are offer. So, again, mission statements also include specific information such as technology, use in production or delivery, and the unique benefits or advantages of the organization products and services. And finally, the mission statement can include a statement of values and beliefs such as the organization's managerial philosophies. Next is we have the vision. So vision is definitely a statement of future aspiration. The businesses need to focus on their attentions to what is important to provide the context for evaluating also in terms of their opportunities and also threats. The vision statement are typically written after the mission statement is completed. Why is it? Because the organization needs to know first what it is and what its purpose is before they can figure out what they will be in the future. The vision statement also usually includes two components. First is the core ideology, and also which is referred to the mission, and in vision's future, which is what is referred to the vision per se. Next, we have here a good vision statement based on the 8 characteristics. First is that vision statement must be brief. A vision statement should be brief so that the employees can remember it time to time. Second is verifiable. So a good vision statement should be able to stand the reality test. Next is the bound by a timeline. A good vision statement is specify a timeline for fulfilling moment of various aspirations. And also for the fourth, we have the current. The outdated vision statement are not useful. Vision statement should be updated on an ongoing basis, ideally as soon as the old vision is fulfilled. And fifth, we have the focus. A good vision statement is not laundry list of aspiration, but rather focus on just a few, perhaps not more than 3 or 4 aspects of the organization's performance that are important to future success. 6 is the statement must be understandable. Vision statements needs to be written in a clear and straightforward manner so that they are understood by all employees. 7, inspiring. Good vision statement makes employees feel good about their organization's direction and motivate them to help achieve the vision. 8 is a strength. So talk about strengths, flexible. Why is it flexible? Because time to time, the needs and wants of our consumers in the future may change. So in this sense, our vision must be flexible into different era or in different needs of our consumers. Next, let's talk about the purposes of setting goals. After an organization has analyzed its external opportunities and even the threats as well as internal strengths and weaknesses, has defined its mission and vision. The purpose of setting such goal is to formalize statement about what the organization hopes to achieve in the medium to long range period, example, within the next 3 years or so on. So having or providing a goals more specific information regarding how the mission will be implemented. And then goals can also be source of motivation and provide employees with more tangible target for which to strive. Also, goals can provide a good basis of making decision by keeping desired outcome in mind. And finally, goals also provide the basis for performance measurements because they allow for a comparison of what needs to be achieved versus of what each unit or group and individual is achieving. And now let's talk about strategies. Again, we have the mission, the vision, the goals of the business. So for us to achieve this, we have the so-called strategy on how can we do this. These strategies could address issues of growth, survival, turnaround, stability, innovation, leadership, and among others. Now, what will be the function of HR to do this kind of strategy or to implement this strategy or to avoid the problems or to address some issues? We all know that the human resource or HR functions plays a critical role in creating and implementing that strategy that will allow the organization to realize its mission and vision. And specifically, these are the functions of the HR. First is the communicate knowledge of a strategic plan. HR function can be a good persuade to communicate and various components of a strategic plan. Example, having the mission, vision, and goals to all employees. Second, provide knowledge of KSAs needed for the strategy's implementations. Again, the functions of HR through job analysis and the resulting job descriptions serve as the repository of knowledge regarding what KSAs are needed for successful implementation of a strategic plan. Thus, the HR function is the unique situations to provide information about whether the current workforce has the KSAs needed to support the strategic plan and not to offer suggestions about types of employees should be hired and what types of plans should be put in place to develop the needed to KSA internally. And for the last is the proposed reward system. The HR function can also provide useful information on types of reward system should be implemented to motivate employees to support the strategic plan. How is strategic plan at the unit level? So again, organization need to have a mission, vision statement, goals, and even a strategy. It must be clear to them what should need to be done, what are the things that the employees need to work on. So every unit mission statement, vision statement, goals, and strategy. So time to time, they need to be embedded about this kind of statement so that they can work on the different strategies on how they achieve it. Now, I have here the diagram on how the strategic plan happen for every unit. First, obviously, we need to have organization strategic plan or the business strategic plan. So, in terms of their mission, vision, goals, and strategy. So, once this is already established, so each units have different mission and vision that are focusing on the strategic goal of the entire organization, which this is critical. Why? Because it's very hard to have the involvement of every employees with different levels. And then through the unit strategic plan, we can know the different job description of our employees or the different tasks that they need to perform in terms of their KSA. So pag sinabing KSA, again, this is the knowledge, skills, and the abilities of our employees. And then for the last is the individual and team performance. Again, critical then in terms of our involvement because this happen in terms of the way they deal with different individualities. Now, let's take it one by one. First is the job description. So again, once we talk about job description, This is the task, and the KSIs are congruent with organizations and unit strategic plans. Job description also, the activity describes support the mission and also the vision of the organization and the unit. The job description must definitely link with the strategic plans on how the specific tasks make a contributions to the strategic priorities of the transportation divisions and the organization as a whole. So this description includes only detailed and indirect information regarding these issues. Next is the individual Next is the individual and team performance. Finally, the performance management system needs to motivate employees to display the behavior and produce the results required to support the organizations and the unit's mission, visions, and goals. Developmental plans need to be aligned with units and organizational priorities as well. Having a well-designed performance management system define a clear path from organizational mission, visions, and goals to individuals and even in terms of team performance. This is critical. Why? Because organizational success is direct function of the alignment between collective and individual objectives. So in addition to serving as a necessary guide for individual and team performance, knowledge of organizations and unit level mission and vision provides information about how to design the performance management system. Specifically, there are many choices in how the system is designed. And in line with the performance management system, we have here the 6 choices in PM system design. First is the criteria. Our criteria is based on behavior or based on the result. Second is the participation. If the participation of our employees are low or high. And also we have the temporal dimension. If this kind of system is about short term or long term, or let's say in terms of level of criteria, is it part of let's say individual grade or per group grade and so on. And for the fifth is the system orientation. Is this developmental or this is administrative? And also in terms of rewards, is this pay for performance or based from the seniority or based on the positions? Next is building support or answering what's in it for me. Given the many competent projects and also the usual scarcity of resources, some of the organization might be reluctant to implement a performance management system. So primarily, the reason is lack of any perceived value added to the system that requires many resources, particularly the time from the supervisor, and that seems to produce little tangible payoffs. The needs to align organization and units priorities with the performance management system is one of the key factors contributing to obtaining the much needed top management support of the system. So again, the top management is likely to ask, why is the performance management important? The answer to the question is that performance management system is the primary tool that will allow top management to carry out its vision. The PMS, with aligned with the organization and unit's priorities, is definitely a critical tool. First, it allows all employees to understand where the organization stands and where it is to go, and also to provide tools to employ example by giving them motivation or developmental resources so that their behavior and result will help the organization get there. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening.